Aubrey Drake Graham, known to the world as Drake, was born on October 24th, 1986, in Toronto, Canada. His journey from a kid in a diverse, sometimes challenging environment to a global superstar is a story of talent, grit, and a unique mix of influences. This first part of his life story covers his childhood, family dynamics, early struggles, and the steps that led him from a Canadian TV set to the edge of music stardom. It's a tale of a boy who grew up between two worlds, found his passion early, and worked hard to turn his dreams into reality. Drake's early life was shaped by his parents' different backgrounds and their eventual split. His mother, Sandy Graham, was a white Canadian of Jewish descent who worked as a teacher and florist. His father, Dennis Graham, was an African-American drummer from Memphis, Tennessee, with deep roots in the music world. The two met in the 1980s, and their relationship brought Aubrey into a world of contrasting cultures. Sandy's Jewish heritage and Dennis's Southern Black American roots gave Drake a unique perspective, but they also made him stand out in ways that weren't always easy. When Drake was 5, his parents divorced, a turning point that defined much of his childhood. Sandy stayed in Toronto, raising Drake in the affluent Forest Hill neighborhood, while Dennis returned to Memphis. This split meant Drake grew up shuttling between two very different places. In Toronto, he lived in a modest basement apartment with his mom after the divorce left him financially strained. Forest Hill was a wealthy area, but Drake and Sandy didn't live like their neighbors. They shared a small space, and Sandy worked hard to make ends meet. Drake later described his mom as his biggest supporter, always encouraging his creativity, whether it was writing poetry or rapping in their tiny apartment. Summers in Memphis were a whole different vibe. Dennis, who had played drums for rock legend Jerry Lee Lewis, introduced Drake to the gritty, soulful world of Southern music. Memphis was a city of rhythm and blues, and Drake soaked it up. He'd hang out with his dad, listen to stories about the music scene, and meeting family members like his uncles, Larry Graham, a bassist for Sly and the Family Stone, and Mabin Teeny Hodges, a guitarist for Al Green. These experiences planted the seeds for Drake's love of music, especially the soulful sounds that would later shape his style. But being biracial and Jewish in both cities came with challenges. In Toronto, Drake faced bullying at school for his mixed heritage and Jewish faith. He attended Forest Hill Collegiate Institute, a public school where he felt like an outsider. Kids teased him for being different, and he struggled to fit in. In a 2011 interview with The Guardian, Drake recalled how being one of the only black and Jewish kids at school made him a target. He went to Hebrew school and had a bar mitzvah at 13, embracing his Jewish roots, but it didn't make fitting in easier. In Memphis, he was sometimes seen as a Canadian kid, not quite fitting into the local culture. These experiences gave Drake a sense of being caught between worlds, a theme that would later show up in his music's emotional depth. Drake's teenage years were a mix of typical kid stuff and early signs of ambition. After Forest Hill Collegiate, he transferred to Vaughan Road Academy, another Toronto public school, where he was classmates with future actor Elliot Page. School wasn't his thing. He found it hard to focus on academics when he was already dreaming big. He was into basketball, music, and performing, often writing rhymes or acting out skits for friends. His mom supported his creative side, letting him turn their basement into a makeshift studio where he'd record early raps on basic equipment. But life wasn't all creativity and dreams. Money was tight, and Sandy's health issues, including arthritis, made things harder. Drake later said in interviews that he felt pressure to help his mom financially, even as a teen. He took odd jobs, like working at a clothing store, but his heart was set on something bigger. He wanted to make it in entertainment, whether through acting or music. That drive pushed him to take risks, like dropping out of high school to pursue acting. It was a bold move, one that worried Sandy, but showed Drake's determination to succeed. Drake's first big break came in 2001 when he was 14. A friend's father, who worked as an acting agent, saw potential in Drake's charisma and got an audition for Degrassi, The Next Generation, a Canadian teen drama. The show was a reboot of the popular Degrassi series, known for tackling real issues like bullying, drugs, and relationships. Drake landed the role of Jimmy Brooks, a high school basketball star with a bright future. It was a perfect fit for Drake, who brought a natural charm to the character. Degrassi was a hit, airing in Canada and later in the U.S. on networks like The N. Drake's role grew over the years, and his character faced dramatic storylines, like getting shot and ending up in a wheelchair. The role wasn't just a paycheck. It was a chance to learn about performing, fame, and storytelling. Drake appeared in 145 episodes from 2001 to 2008, becoming a recognizable face to teens across North America. In 2002, he even won a Young Artist Award for Best Ensemble in a TV series, a nod to his growing talent. Being on Degrassi wasn't always glamorous, though. The schedule was grueling, with long days on set and little time for a normal teen life. Drake later told Complex magazine that he'd finish filming at midnight, then head to a basement studio to work on music until dawn. He was juggling two passions, and it wasn't easy. His Degrassi co-stars, like Adamo Ruggiero, who played Marco, noticed his drive. In a 2019 interview, Ruggiero said Drake was always talking about music, even on set, and would freestyle rap during breaks. By 2007, Drake faced a tough choice. The Degrassi producers gave him an ultimatum: focus on the show or pursue music. Drake chose music, leaving the show in its 7th season. It was a risky move. He was giving up a steady gig for a dream with no guarantees. But Drake believed in himself, and that belief would soon pay off. While acting paid the bills, music was Drake's true passion. He started rapping as a teen, inspired by artists like Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Lil Wayne. In the early 2000s, Toronto's hip-hop scene was small but growing, and Drake wanted to be part of it. He recorded his first songs in a friend's basement, using basic software and a cheap microphone. His early tracks were raw, but they showed his knack for blending introspective lyrics with catchy hooks. In 2006, at 19, Drake released his first mixtape, Room for Improvement. He funded it himself, selling about 6,000 copies through local shows and online platforms like MySpace. The mixtape wasn't a massive hit, but it got some buzz in Toronto. Tracks like City Is Mine hinted at his storytelling ability, even if the production was rough. Drake was learning the ropes, figuring out how to market himself in a pre-streaming era when mixtapes were the way underground rappers got noticed. A year later, in 2007, Drake dropped his second mixtape, Comeback Season. This one was a step up with better production and a standout single, Replacement Girl, featuring Trey Songz. The song caught the attention of hip-hop fans and even got some radio play in Canada. It was a big moment. Drake was starting to get noticed outside Toronto. He also formed October's very own OVO, a collective that would later become his label and brand. During this time, he met Noah 40 Shebib, a Toronto producer who'd become his right-hand man. 40's moody, atmospheric beats clicked with Drake's style, laying the groundwork for their signature sound. Drake's early music hustle wasn't easy. He performed at small venues, sometimes for crowds of just a few dozen people. He'd hand out CDs, post on MySpace, and network with anyone who'd listen. Money was tight, and he leaned on his Degrassi savings to keep going. In a 2010 Rolling Stone interview, Drake talked about those days, saying he'd drive hours to open for bigger acts, hoping someone important would hear him. His persistence paid off when Lil Wayne, one of his idols, heard Replacement Girl and reached out. That connection would change everything. Drake's early years weren't just about acting or music. They were about figuring out who he was. Growing up biracial in a mostly white neighborhood, he had to navigate questions of identity. He leaned into both sides of his heritage, celebrating his Jewish roots with a bar mitzvah and his black roots through his love of hip-hop and soul. His music reflected this mix, blending the swagger of rap with the vulnerability of R&B. He wasn't afraid to talk about feelings, a trait that set him apart from many rappers at the time. His mom, Sandy, was a constant source of support. She'd listen to his early rhymes, give feedback, and keep him grounded. Drake later credited her with teaching him to be honest in his music, a quality that would define his career. His dad, Dennis, was less present but still influential, sending him music gear and sharing stories of the Memphis scene. These family ties gave Drake a foundation, even when life felt uncertain. By 2008, Drake was on the cusp of something big. He left Degrassi, released 2 mixtapes, and caught the ear of hip-hop heavyweights. He was still a kid from Toronto, but he was ready to take on the world. The next chapter, his rise to fame, would build on the lessons and hustle of these early years, turning Aubrey Graham into Drake, the global star. Aubrey Drake Graham's transformation into Drake, the global superstar, didn't happen overnight, but it felt like it to the world. By 2009, the former Degrassi actor was no longer just a TV star. He was a name buzzing in the music industry. This second part of his story covers the pivotal years from 2009 to 2012, when Drake's mixtape So Far Gone launched him into the spotlight. His debut album, Thank Me, later solidified his place in hip-hop, and his early business moves laid the foundation for his OVO empire. These years were about hustle, bold risks, and a new sound that changed the game. In February 2009, Drake released his third mixtape, So Far Gone, and it was a turning point. Unlike his earlier projects, Room for Improvement, 2006, and Comeback Season, 2007, this one had polish, ambition, and a sound that felt fresh. Working closely with producer Noah of 40 Shebib, Drake crafted a mix of moody, atmospheric beats and introspective lyrics that blended rap and R&B in a way that stood out. The mixtape, released for free on his October's very own blog and MySpace, spread like wildfire. It was the right music at the right time, perfect for the internet era, when fans shared songs on blogs and early streaming platforms. The standout tracks were Best I Ever Had and Successful. Best I Ever Had was a smooth, romantic anthem that climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, a huge feat for an independent artist. Its catchy hook and Drake's confident yet vulnerable delivery made it a radio staple. Successful, featuring Trey Songz and Lil Wayne, was darker, with Drake rapping about his hunger for fame and the pressures of chasing it. Lines like, "I want the money, money and the cars and clothes," captures ambition and resonated with listeners. The mixtape also included Houston, Atlanta, Vegas, a storytelling track about a stripper's life, showing Drake's knack for emotional narratives. So Far Gone wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural moment. It debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200, selling 73,000 copies in its first week as a commercial EP released later in 2009. For a mixtape, this was huge. Blogs like Pitchfork and Complex praised its innovation, with Pitchfork calling a new blueprint for hip-hop. Fans love how Drake mixed singing and rapping, something still rare in mainstream rap. His Toronto accent and references to a city gave the project a unique flavor, setting him apart from American rappers dominating the charts. The mixtape caught the attention of hip-hop's biggest names. Lil Wayne, who'd already collaborated with Drake on Replacement Girl, became a mentor. In early 2009, Wayne invited Drake to join his Young Money/Cash Money tour, exposing him to massive audiences. Performances in cities like Atlanta and New York showed Drake could hold his own alongside rap heavyweights. By June 2009, a bidding war broke out among labels wanting to sign him. Drake chose Young Money Entertainment, Lil Wayne's label under Universal Motown, in a deal reportedly worth $2 million. It was a bold leap, tying him to a powerhouse roster that included Nicki Minaj and Tyga. With the world watching, Drake dropped his debut album, Thank Me Later, in June 2010. The pressure was on. Could he live up to the hype of So Far Gone? He delivered. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 447,000 copies in its first week. It went platinum within months, proving Drake was more than a mixtape wonder. The album featured big names like Kanye West, Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, and Lil Wayne, but Drake's voice was a star. Hits like Over and Find Your Love showed his range. Over was a triumphant rap anthem about fame's highs and lows. With a booming beat produced by Boy Wonder, it peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a staple in Drake's live shows. Find Your Love, produced by Kanye West, leaned into R&B with a pop edge, hitting number 5 on the Hot 100. Its sleek production and heartfelt lyrics about searching for connection showed Drake's crossover appeal. Other tracks, like Miss Me with Lil Wayne and Up All Night with Nicki Minaj, highlighted his chemistry with Young Money. The album wasn't without critics. Some, like the New York Times, felt Drake's introspective style was too soft compared to harder-edged rappers like 50 Cent. Others praised his honesty. In a 2010 Rolling Stone review, the album was called A Soulful Meditation on Fame, with Drake's lyrics about balancing success and personal life striking a chord. Songs like Fireworks, featuring Alicia Keys, tackled his fears of losing himself to stardom, while Fancy, with Swizz Beatz and T.I. showed his swagger. Thank Me Later wasn't perfect. It was long, with 14 tracks, and some felt it lacked the raw energy of So Far Gone. But it proved Drake could compete at the highest level. He toured the album extensively, headlining shows for the first time, and selling out venues like Radio City Music Hall. The tour, called Away From Home, grossed over $10 million, a sign of his growing star power. Drake was no longer just a kid from Toronto. He was a global name. While Thank Me Later was climbing the charts, Drake was thinking bigger. He wasn't content to be just an artist. He wanted to build a legacy. In 2010, he and 40 formalized October's very own, OVO, as more than a crew. It became a brand. They started with blog and merchandise, selling OVO-branded hoodies and hats with the iconic owl logo. Fans ate it up, and OVO gear became a status symbol in streetwear culture. In 2012, Drake and 4-0 launched OVO Sound, a record label under Warner Brothers. The goal was to sign artists who fit Drake's vision of genre-blending music. Their first signings were Party Next Door, a singer-songwriter from Mississauga, and Majid Jordan, a Toronto duo known for soulful R&B. OVO Sound gave Drake a platform to shape the industry, and Party Next Door's 2013 debut album became a cult favorite. Drake also collaborated with these artists, co-writing and featuring on tracks to boost their profiles. Beyond music, Drake dipped into fashion and sports. In 2011, he partnered with Canada Goose for custom jackets, blending Toronto's cold weather vibe with high-end style. He also started working with the Toronto Raptors, his hometown NBA team. In 2013, he became their global ambassador, a role that included hosting events and promoting the team. The Raptors later named their practice facility the OVO Athletic Center, a nod to Drake's influence. These moves showed his knack for turning his personal brand into a cultural force. Drake's rise wasn't just about music. It was about changing the game. So Far Gone and Thank Me Later made it okay for rappers to sing and talk about feelings. Before Drake, hip-hop was often about toughness, but he brought vulnerability, rapping about heartbreak, family, and the pressures of fame. This resonated with a new generation, especially young fans who saw themselves in his lyrics. He also put Toronto on the map, with references to the CN Tower and Yonge Street, making the city a character in his music. But fame brought challenges. In 2011, Drake faced a lawsuit from Erica Lee, a former girlfriend who claimed she provided vocals for Marvin's Room, a Take Care track. The dispute was settled out of court, but it was a reminder of the legal headaches that come with success. He also dealt with media scrutiny over his Degrassi past, with some critics calling him soft for his acting roots. Drake leaned into it, joking about his TV days and interviews, and even hosting Saturday Night Live in 2011, where he poked fun at himself in skits. Drake's connection with Lil Wayne and Young Money also brought pressure. As the label's rising star, he had to prove he could stand out alongside Nicki Minaj and Wayne. He did, but it meant constant work, recording, touring, and building OVO. In a 2010 Vibe interview, Drake admitted he barely slept, saying, "I'm trying to do it all, and it's hard." His work ethic kept him ahead, but it set the stage for the intense pace of his career. By 2012, Drake was a household name. So Far Gone had introduced him. Thank Me Later had proved his staying power, and OVO was becoming a brand to watch. He was nominated for 4 Grammys in 2010, including Best New Artist, though he didn't win. His tours were selling out, and his music was everywhere, on radio, in clubs, and on early streaming platforms like Spotify. He was also building a loyal fan base, with his OVO blog and Twitter keeping fans engaged. This period was just the beginning. Drake's next album, Take Care, would take him to new heights, cementing his place as a leader in hip-hop. But the years from 2009 to 2012 were crucial. They showed the world who Drake was, a kid from Toronto with a vision, a new sound, and a drive to build something lasting. His rise to fame wasn't just about hits. It was about creating a movement, From 2011 to 2017, Drake didn't just make music, he redefined it. These years were the peak of his career, a time when he released 4 groundbreaking projects. Take Care, 2011. Nothing Was the Same, 2013. Views, 2016. And More Life, 2017. Each one pushed the boundaries of hip-hop, blending rap, R&B, pop, dancehall, and grime, while dominating charts and breaking streaming records. Drake became a cultural force, shaping music trends, popularizing Toronto's sound, and building his OVO empire. This part of the story explores how he became a global icon, navigated fame's challenges, and left an indelible mark on music and culture. Drake's second studio album, Take Care, dropped in November 2011 and changed the music landscape. Debuting at #1 on the Billboard 200, it sold 631,000 copies in its first week, surpassing Thank Me Later's debut. The album went double platinum and won the Grammy for Best Rap Album in 2013, a huge milestone for Drake. Working closely with producer Noah of 40 Shebib, Drake crafted a sound that was moody, atmospheric, and deeply personal, what many call the Toronto sound. It mixed hip-hop's edge with R&B's emotion, setting a new standard for the genre. Take Care was packed with hits that showed Drake's range. The lead single, Headlines, was a confident anthem about his rise to fame, with lines like, "I might be too strung out on compliments, overdosed on confidence." It peaked at number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became a staple in his live shows. Take Care, a duet with Rihanna, blended R&B and electronic vibes, hitting number 7 with its lush production and lyrics about love's push and pull. The music video, with its stark black and white visuals, highlighted their chemistry, fueling rumors about their on and off relationship. Marvin's Room, a raw, lo-fi track about a drunken call to an ex, became a cultural touchstone. Lines like, "I'm just saying you could do better," resonated with fans, inspiring countless covers, remixes, and memes. The album's Closer, the motto featuring Lil Wayne, introduced the phrase, YOLO, "You only live once," to the world. Its West Coast-inspired beat and catchy hook made it a club favorite, peaking at number 14 on the Hot 100. YOLO became a cultural phenomenon, appearing on t-shirts, social media posts, and even tattoos. Take Care featured an all-star lineup, including The Weeknd, Andre 3000, Stevie Wonder, and Nicki Minaj, showing Drake's ability to bridge genres. Tracks like Crew Love with The Weeknd and HYFR, which celebrated his Jewish roots with a bar mitzvah-themed video, showcases versatility. Critics raved about Take Care. Rolling Stone gave it 4 stars, calling it a carefully crafted bundle of contradictions, emotional, mellow, and cohesive. Pitchfork scored it 8.6/10, praising Drake's ability to make his insecurities feel universal. Some fans felt the 20-track album was too long, but its themes, love, loneliness, and the pressures of fame, hit hard. In Look What You've Done, Drake paid tribute to his mom and uncle, rapping about their struggles and his drive to provide for them. This vulnerability set him apart in a hip-hop world where toughness often dominated. The Club Paradise Tour in 2012, supporting Take Care, was a massive success, grossing over $40 million across North America and Europe. Drake headlined arenas for the first time, with rising stars like Kendrick Lamar and A$AP Rocky as openers. Fans packed venues to hear tracks like Make Me Proud and Lord Knows, and Drake's emotional performances connected deeply. In Toronto, he brought out The Weeknd for a hometown show that felt like a victory lap. Take Care wasn't just an album, it was a cultural shift, proving hip-hop could be introspective and mainstream. In September 2013, Drake released Nothing Was the Same, his third album, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200 with 658,000 copies sold in its first week. The album was tighter and more polished than Take Care, with 13 tracks that showed Drake's growth as an artist and storyteller. Produced largely by 40, it had a cinematic feel, with lush beats and sharp lyrics. It went triple platinum and earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album, solidifying Drake's place at the top. The lead single, Started From the Bottom, was an anthem of triumph, reflecting Drake's journey from Toronto to stardom. Its minimalist beat and iconic line, "Started from the bottom, Now We're Here made it a cultural staple, peaking at number 6 on the Hot 100. The music video, showing Drake as a teen working at a drugstore before cutting to him in a Bentley, resonated with fans who saw his story as relatable. Hold On, We're Going Home, featuring Majid Jordan, leaned into pop and R&B with an 80s-inspired groove, hitting number 4 on the Hot 100. Its romantic vibe and sleek production showed Drake's crossover appeal. Nothing Was the Same explored themes of family, success, and self-doubt. In From Time, featuring Jhené Aiko, Drake rapped about his strained relationship with his dad, while Too Much addressed his mom's health struggles. Tuscan Leather, the album's opener, was a 6-minute epic with 3 beat switches, showcasing his lyrical depth. Worst Behavior brought swagger, with Drake shouting out his roots and brushing off haters. Critics loved the album's focus. The New York Times called it Drake's leanest and most melodically assured work, while XXL gave an XL rating for its storytelling. Some fans mistake Care's raw emotion, but tracks like Pound Cake / Paris Morton Music 2, with Jay-Z showed Drake, could hold his own with rap legends. The Would You Like a Tour? In 2013 was a spectacle, with elaborate sets and surprise guests like Future and J. Cole. It grossed over $45 million, proving Drake's draw as a live act. He also expanded OVO Fest, his annual Toronto Music Festival, into a 2-day event in 2013, featuring Kanye West, TLC, and Miguel. OVO Fest became a celebration of Drake's hometown, boosting Toronto's global music profile. By this point, Drake wasn't just making music. He was building a movement. In April 2016, Drake dropped Views, his 4th album, which took his career to new heights. Debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, it sold 852,000 equivalent units in its first week, driven by streaming. Views was Drake's love letter to Toronto, named after the city's the 6ix9ine nickname, with cover art featuring him atop the CN Tower. The album leaned heavily into dancehall and pop, reflecting Drake's growing interest in global sounds and the rise of Caribbean influences in mainstream music. The lead single, Hotline Bling, was a cultural phenomenon. Its catchy melody and Drake's playful delivery made it a number 2 hit on the Hot 100, and its music video, inspired by artist James Toro's light installations, went viral for Drake's goofy dance moves. The video racked up over 1 billion YouTube views and sparked memes across X and Instagram. Hotline Bling won 2 Grammys in 2017, Best Rap / Song Performance and Best Rap Song. Other singles like One Dance with Wizkid and Kyla became Drake's first number 1 Hot 100 hit, dominating charts for 10 weeks with its infectious dancehall beat. Controlla and Too Good with Rihanna also became hits, showing Drake's knack for crafting earworms. Views was a streaming giant, staying at number 1 on the Billboard 200 for 13 weeks, a record for a male artist at the time. It was the first album to hit 1 billion streams on Apple Music, and in 2016, Drake was Spotify's most streamed artist with 4.7 billion streams. Critics were mixed. Pitchfork gave it 6.8/10, calling it sprawling but safe, while Rolling Stone praised its ambition and polish. Fans loved tracks like Feel No Ways and Redemption, which showed Drake's emotional side, but some felt the 20-track album was bloated. The Summer 16 tour, co-headlined with Future, was one of 2016's biggest, grossing over $80 million. Drake's stage setups, with floating lights and pyrotechnics, set a new standard for hip-hop performances. He also used Views to elevate OVO's sound artists, with Party Next Door featured on With You. Views wasn't just an album. It was a cultural moment, cementing Drake as the king of the streaming era. In March 2017, Drake released More Life, which he called a playlist rather than an album. This 22-track project was his most experimental yet, blending rap, R&B, dancehall, and UK grime. It debuted at number 1, selling 505,000 equivalent units, and set a single-day streaming record on Spotify with 76 million streams. More Life was designed for the streaming age, with a loose, mixtape-like feel that showcased Drake's global influences and ability to stay ahead of trends. Standout tracks included Passion Fruit, a breezy dancehall hit with a hypnotic beat, and Fake Love, which hit number 8 on the Hot 100 with its introspective lyrics. Free Smoke, and Portland with Quavo and Travis Scott showed his rap prowess, while Get It Together with Georgia Smith and Teenage Fever sampled UK and 90s sounds. Drake also boosted emerging artists like Giggs and Skepta, helping UK grime gain mainstream traction. Critics praised the project's diversity. The Guardian called it a sprawling love letter to global sounds, though some felt its 81-minute runtime lacked focus. More Life broke streaming records, and by 2017, Drake became the first artist to surpass 10 billion streams across all platforms. The project also highlighted OVO Sound's growing roster, with contributions from Party Next Door and new signee Baka Not Nice. More Life showed Drake's ability to adapt, delivering content that kept fans hooked in the fast-paced streaming era. Drake's dominance from 2011 to 2017 went beyond chart numbers. He changed hip-hop by making vulnerability mainstream. Tracks like Marvin's Room and Take Care made it okay for rappers to sing about heartbreak and self-doubt, paving the way for artists like Post Malone, Juice WRLD, and Lil Uzi Vert. His Toronto pride put the city on the global music map, with the 6ix9ine becoming a cultural shorthand. Artists like The Weeknd and Tory Lanez benefited from the spotlight Drake brought to Toronto's scene. His business moves were equally impactful. OVO Sound grew into a respected label, signing talents like Roy Woods and DVSN. OVO Fest, held annually in Toronto, became a must-attend event, drawing stars like Eminem, Rihanna, and Kanye West. In 2013, Drake became the Toronto Raptors global ambassador, boosting the team's profile with courtside appearances and Drake Night games. The Raptors named their practice facility the OVO Athletic Center, a testament to his influence. His fashion ventures, like OVO merchandise and Nike Air Jordan collabs, became streetwear staples, with the OVO Owl logo a symbol of cool. Fame brought challenges, too. In 2015, Meek Mill accused Drake of using ghostwriters, sparking a high-profile feud. Drake responded with diss tracks Charged Up and Back to Back, the latter earning a Grammy nomination. The feud fueled debates about authenticity in rap, but Drake stayed focused, letting his music speak. He also faced criticism for View's length and More Life's lack of cohesion, but his ability to deliver hit silenced doubters. By 2017, Drake was untouchable. He had 13 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles, tying Michael Jackson's record for a male artist, and won 3 Grammys, 6 American Music Awards, and 27 Billboard Music Awards. His blend of rap, R&B, and global sound set trends, and his streaming dominance showed he understood the new music landscape. These years weren't just about music. They were about Drake reshaping hip-hop, building a cultural empire, and proving he could stay on top. The next chapter, with its personal challenges and continued success, would test his resilience even further. Drake's rise to global stardom wasn't just about music. It was also about his personal life, which often made headlines. From 2011 to 2017 and beyond, his relationships, family dynamics, and high-profile controversies kept him in the spotlight, sometimes overshadowing his art. This period also saw him build a lavish lifestyle and expand his business ventures, turning his OVO brand into a cultural powerhouse. This part of Drake's story explores the man behind the music, his loves, his feuds, his role as a father, and the challenges of fame, while showing how these moments shaped his legacy. Drake's romantic life has always been a topic of fascination. His music, filled with raw emotion about love and heartbreak, often hinted at real relationships, making fans and tabloids eager for details. His most famous romance was with Rihanna, a global superstar whose chemistry with Drake was undeniable. Their on-and-off relationship began around 2009, sparked by collaborations like What's My Name, 2010, and Take Care, 2011. Their flirty dynamic was clear in music videos and live performances, like when they performed Work together in 2016. That year, at the MTV Video Music Awards, Drake presented Rihanna with the Vanguard Award and called her the love of his life, saying, "She's someone I've been in love with since I was 22. Fans went wild, but Rihanna later said they were just friends, leaving their status a mystery. Their connection, whether romantic or not, kept people talking for years. Drake was also linked to other high-profile women. In 2016, he was spotted with Jennifer Lopez, and their cozy Instagram posts fueled rumors. They collaborated on music, but the relationship fizzled out. He was rumored to have dated Serena Williams around 2011 and 2015, often seen cheering at her tennis matches. Drake's lyrics, like in Worst Behavior, where he raps, "I'm with my whole set, tennis matches at the crib," hinted at their connection. Other rumored flings included models like Bella Hadid and actresses like Zoe Kravitz, but Drake kept most details private, letting his music tell the story. His songs often reflected his romantic struggles. Tracks like Marvin's Room, 2011, and From Time, 2013, painted a picture of a man wrestling with love and loneliness. In a 2011 interview with The Guardian, Drake admitted that fame made relationships hard, saying, "It's tough to trust people when you're always on the road." His openness about heartbreak made him relatable, but also invited scrutiny, with fans dissecting his lyrics for clues about his love life. Drake's personal life took a major turn in 2017 when he became a father. Sophie Brussaux, a French artist and former model, gave birth to his son, Adonis Graham, on October 24th, 2017, Drake's 31st birthday. At first, Drake kept it private, and the news only surfaced publicly in 2018 when rapper Pusha T revealed it in a diss track, The Story of Adidon. Pusha T's lyrics, "You are hiding a child. Let that boy come home," shocked fans and sparked headlines. Drake later confirmed he was Adonis's father on his 2018 album Scorpion, addressing the drama in songs like Emotionless and March 14th. In Emotionless, he rapped, "I wasn't hiding my kid from the world. I was hiding the world from my kid," explaining his choice to protect Adonis's privacy. Fatherhood changed Drake. He began sharing more about Adonis, posting photos on Instagram in 2020, showing a curly-haired boy with a big smile. In interviews, like one with the Rap Radar podcast in 2019, Drake said being a dad gave him new purpose, teaching him patience and responsibility. Adonis, who splits time between Toronto and France with his mom, became a big part of Drake's life. In 2023, Drake dedicated his album For All the Dogs to Adonis, who even drew the cover art, a white dog with red eyes. Tracks like 8 a.m. in Charlotte mention his son, showing how fatherhood shaped his music. Co-parenting with Brussaux had its challenges, but they worked out a system. Drake bought a mansion in Toronto's Bridle Path, where he and Adonis spend time together, often playing basketball or painting. Fans loved seeing Drake's softer side, like when he posted videos of Adonis speaking French or cheering at Raptors games. Fatherhood grounded him, balancing the chaos of fame with a new sense of family. Drake's career wasn't without drama, and his feuds often made as much noise as his music. One of the biggest was with Meek Mill in 2015. Meek, then dating Nicki Minaj, accused Drake of using ghostwriters for his verse on Meek's song, RSCO Meek's tweets, like, he don't write his own raps, set X ablaze, sparking debates about authenticity in hip-hop. Drake responded with 2 diss tracks, Charged Up and Back to Back, released days apart. Back to Back was a hit, peaking at number 21 on the Hot 100 and earning a Grammy nomination. Lines like, "Is that a world tour or your girls' tour?" took shots at Meek's relationship with Nicki, and the track became a cultural moment, with fans memeing it online. Meek's response, "Wanna know?" fell flat, and Drake came out on top. The feud ended in 2018 when they reconciled, performing together at a Boston concert. Another major feud was with Kanye West, which started as a creative rivalry but turned personal. Drake and Kanye collaborated on songs like All of the Lights, 2010, but tensions grew over creative control and label politics. In 2018, Kanye produced Pusha T's album Daytona, which included the story of Adidon, the track exposing Drake's son. Drake felt betrayed, believing Kanye shared personal info with Pusha. He responded indirectly on Scorpion's survival, but the feud simmered. By 2021, Kanye and Drake patched things up, performing together at a benefit concert in Los Angeles, but their history kept fans speculating. Drake also faced legal issues. In 2012, a nightclub brawl in New York City involving Drake and Chris Brown, reportedly over Rihanna, led to lawsuits from injured bystanders. The case settled out of court, but it damaged Drake's image temporarily. In 2014, he was sued by the estate of jazz singer Jimmy Smith over a sample in Pound Cake/Paris Morton Music 2. The lawsuit was dismissed, but it highlighted the challenges of sampling in hip-hop. In 2012, Erica Lee, a former girlfriend, sued Drake, claiming she provided vocals for Marvin's Room without credit. They settled out of court in 2013, but the dispute showed the messy side of fame. The biggest feud came in 2024 with Kendrick Lamar. Their rivalry, rooted in subtle jabs over years, exploded with diss tracks like Kendrick's, like that in Drake's Push-Ups. The battle dominated X, with fans picking sides. Kendrick's Not Like Us became a hit, but Drake's The Heart Part 6 held its own. The feud ended without a clear winner, but it showed Drake's ability to stay relevant, even in conflict. Drake's wealth, estimated at $250 million by 2024, fueled a lavish lifestyle that became part of his brand. He bought a 50,000 square foot mansion in Toronto's Bridle Path in 2016, complete with an NBA-sized basketball court, a recording studio, and a chandelier made of 20,000 Swarovski crystals. Nicknamed the Embassy, it was featured in Architectural Digest in 2020, showcasing its over-the-top design. Drake also owned a custom Boeing 767 private jet, dubbed Air Drake, which he used for tours and personal trips. His love for luxury was clear in his car collection, including a Bugatti Chiron and a Rolls-Royce Phantom. But Drake wasn't just spending, he was building. His OVO brand grew into a powerhouse. OVO Sound, launched in 2012, signed artists like Party Next Door, Magic Jordan, and Roy Woods, releasing critically acclaimed projects. OVO merchandise, from hoodies to owl-branded hats, became a streetwear staple, with pop-up shops in cities like New York and London selling out. In 2020, Drake launched his Nike sublabel, Nocta, blending sportswear and street fashion. Nocta's sleek designs, like puffer jackets and tracksuits, sold out fast, cementing Drake's fashion influence. Drake also ventured into other businesses. In 2019, he co-founded More Life Growth Company, a cannabis company, tapping into the growing legal weed market. He invested in esports, backing the gaming organization 100 Thieves, and produced TV shows through his Dream Crew company, including Euphoria for HBO. His role as the Toronto Raptors global ambassador grew, with Drake Night, games drawing huge crowds, and the team's practice facility named the OVO Athletic Center. These ventures showed Drake's knack for turning his brand into a cultural force. Despite his wealth, Drake stayed connected to his roots. He donated to Toronto charities, like giving $50,000 to a women's shelter in 2018, and often shouted out local artists at OVO Fest. His music videos, like Started from the Bottom, featured Toronto landmarks, boosting the city's global profile. This balance of luxury and loyalty made him a unique figure in entertainment. Drake's personal life and controversies shaped how the world saw him. His openness about love and family made him relatable, but feuds and lawsuits painted him as a target. He leaned into both sides, using his music to address drama while keeping fans hooked with hits. In a 2016 Zane Lowe interview, he said, "I just let the music talk for me. People can say what they want, but the work stands." His ability to turn personal moments into art, like addressing Adonis in Scorpion, kept him authentic. His lifestyle also became a cultural touchstone. The Hotline Bling Videos Dance Moves, 2015, sparked memes that dominated X, making Drake a pop culture staple beyond music. His Raptors courtside antics, like trash-talking opponents, became gifs and viral moments. Yet, he faced criticism for being too soft or overly commercial, especially after views leaned into pop. Drake shrugged it off, doubling down on his style and proving his staying power. From 2011 to 2017 and beyond, Drake's personal life was as dynamic as his music. His relationships with Rihanna and others fueled headlines, while fatherhood gave him a new perspective. Feuds with Meek Mill, Kanye West, and Kendrick Lamar showed his competitive side, but also the pressures of staying on top. His lavish lifestyle and business ventures, from OVO to Nocta, made him a mogul, while his Toronto roots kept him grounded. This period wasn't just about fame. It was about Drake navigating love, conflict, and success while building. a legacy that would endure. By 2017, Drake had already reshaped music and culture, but his story didn't stop there. From 2018 to 2025, he continued to dominate charts, break records, and expand his influence, all while navigating personal growth and industry changes. This final part of Drake's story explores his lasting legacy as one of the biggest artists of the streaming era, his recent projects like Scorpion and For All the Dogs, and his ventures into acting, business, and philanthropy. It also looks ahead to what's next for the Toronto icon, a man whose journey from Degrassi to global stardom has inspired millions. Drake's legacy is undeniable. By 2025, he had sold over 170 million records worldwide, tying Michael Jackson's record for 13 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles by a male artist. His trophy case includes 5 Grammys, 6 American Music Awards, and 39 Billboard Music Awards, making him one of the most awarded artists of his generation. But his impact goes beyond numbers. Drake changed hip-hop by blending it with R&B, pop, and global sounds like dancehall and UK drill, making vulnerability a strength in a genre once defined by bravado. Songs like Marvin's Room, 2011, and Passion Fruit, 2017, showed rappers could sing about heartbreak and self-doubt, inspiring artists like Post Malone, Lil Uzi Vert, and Juice WRLD. Drake also put Toronto on the global music map. Before him, the city was rarely mentioned in hip-hop, but his references to the 6ix9ine, the CN Tower, and Yonge Street made Toronto a cultural hub. He paved the way for artists like The Weeknd, Tory Lanez, and Jessie Reyez, who credit him with opening doors. In a 2019 Billboard interview, The Weeknd said, "Drake made it cool to be from Toronto. He gave us a voice." His OVO Fest, an annual Toronto music festival, became a global draw, hosting stars like Kanye West, Rihanna, and Cardi B, boosting the city's economy and profile. His influence extended to fashion and pop culture. The OVO Owl logo became a streetwear staple, and his Nike Nocta line, launched in 2020, blended sportswear with high fashion, selling out worldwide. Drake's Hotline Bling dance moves, 2015, and Raptors courtside antics turned him into a meme machine, with GIFs and X-posts keeping him relevant beyond music. He also popularized phrases like Wawalo and the 6ix9ine, embedding them in mainstream culture. His ability to merge music, fashion, and internet culture made him a trendsetter for the digital age. Drake's business savvy amplified his impact. OVO Sound, founded in 2012, grew into a respected label, nurturing talents like Party Next Door and Majid Jordan. His role as a Toronto Raptors global ambassador, starting in 2013, made him a sports culture icon, with the team's OVO Athletic Center named in his honor. His ventures into cannabis, More Life Grow Company, and esports 100 Thieves showed his knack for spotting trends. By 2024, his net worth was estimated at $250 million, a testament to his ability to turn fame into a diversified empire. Drake's music kept evolving after 2017. In June 2018, he released Scorpion, a double album with 25 tracks split between rap and R&B. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, selling 732,000 equivalent units in its first week, driven by streaming. Hits like God's Plan, Nice for What, and In My Feelings dominated charts. God's Plan was a #1 hit for 11 weeks, with its video showing Drake giving away nearly $1 million to fans in Miami, from paying tuition to buying groceries. In My Feelings sparked the viral hashtag #InMyFeelings challenge, where fans danced the song on X, boosting its reach. Scorpion broke streaming records, becoming the first album to hit 1 billion global streams in a week. Critics were mixed on Scorpion. Pitchfork gave it 6.9/10, calling it overlong but ambitious, while fans love its hits and emotional depth. The album addressed personal moments, like Drake confirming his son Adonis in Emotionless and March 14th, responding to Pusha T's 2018 diss track. Despite its length, Scorpion showed Drake's ability to stay relevant, blending trap, pop, and R&B. In 2021, Certified Lover Boy continued his hot streak, debuting at #1 with 613,000 units. Hits like Way Too Sexy with Future and Young Thug and Knife Talk with 21 Savage kept Drake on the charts. The album leaned into lush production and romantic themes, though some critics, like the New York Times, felt it played it safe. Fans embraced it, and its cover art, featuring pregnant women emojis, sparked X debates and memes. Certified Lover Boy earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album, reinforcing Drake's dominance. Drake's 2022 albums, Honestly, Nevermind, and Her Loss with 21 Savage, showed his willingness to experiment. Honestly, Nevermind embraced house and dance music, with tracks like Falling Back surprising fans. It debuted at #1 but divided listeners, with NME calling it a bold pivot. Her Loss returned to rap, with hits like Rich Flex and controversial lyrics about Megan Thee Stallion that stirred X backlash. Both albums proved Drake could take risks while staying on top. In October 2023, For All the Dogs debuted at #1, selling 402,000 units. Hits like Slime You Out with SZA and First Person Shooter with Jay. Cole kept Drake in heavy rotation. The album, dedicated to his son Adonis, who drew its cover art, mixed introspective tracks with bangers. Critics like Rolling Stone gave mixed reviews, calling it uneven but undeniable. But fans loved its personal touches like Id Gaff with Yeet. Drake's 2023 tour, It's All a Blur, co-headlined with 21 Savage, grossed over $100 million, with elaborate sets and surprise guests like Lil Yachty. Drake's ambitions stretched beyond music. He returned to acting, appearing in films like Anchorman 2, 2013, and producing TV shows through his Dream Crew company. Euphoria, 2019 present, starring Zendaya, became a cultural hit on HBO, earning Emmy nominations. Drake also executive produced Top Boy, a UK crime drama, reviving it for Netflix in 2019. His love for storytelling showed in these projects, connecting back to his Degrassi roots. His business ventures grew stronger. Nocta, his Nike sublabel, expanded with new collections in 2023, blending streetwear and sportswear. OVO Sound signed new artists like Naomi Sharon, and OVO Fest remained a Toronto staple, with 2024's event featuring SZA and Megan Thee Stallion. Drake's More Life Growth Company launched new cannabis products, and his stake in 100 Thieves made him a player in esports, a billion-dollar industry. Philanthropy became a bigger focus. In 2018, Drake donated $50,000 to a Miami women's shelter and funded scholarships for students, as seen in the God's Plan video. In 2020, he gave $100,000 to the National Bailout Fund to support Black Lives Matter activists. He also supported Toronto's music scene, mentoring artists like Smiley and promoting them through OVO Sound. These acts showed Drake's commitment to giving back, balancing his lavish lifestyle with community impact. Drake's legacy wasn't without hurdles. His 2024 feud with Kendrick Lamar, sparked by Kendrick's Like That verse, became a cultural moment. Drake's diss tracks, Push UPS and The Heart Part 6, traded blows with Kendrick's Not Like Us and Meet the Grahams. The battle dominated X, with fans debating who won. While Kendrick's tracks gained traction, Drake held his own, performing to sold-out crowds on his 2024's All a Blur, Big as the What tour with J. Cole. The feud showed Drake's resilience, turning conflict into art. Criticism followed his later work. Some fans and critics, like those on Pitchfork, felt albums like Honestly, Nevermind, and For All the Dogs lacked the focus of Take Care or Nothing Was the Same. Accusations of oversaturation, releasing too much music too fast, surfaced, but Drake's streaming numbers prove his fan base remained loyal. He also faced legal battles, like a 2023 lawsuit from a fan injured at a concert, settled quietly. These challenges didn't derail him. They showed his ability to push through. At 38 in 2025, Drake shows no signs of slowing down. In 2024, he teased new music, appearing at Party Next Door's Toronto concert and hinting at a collaborative project. He also published a poetry book titled Ruin Everything with Kenza Samir in 2023, showing his creative range. X posts from fans buzzed with excitement about potential albums, with some speculating a return to the introspective sound of Take Care. His Dream Crew company is developing new TV and film projects and Nocta plans to expand into new markets. Drake's future in music seems bright. He's hinted at exploring new genres, possibly jazz or Afrobeat, given his history of blending sounds. His influence on younger artists like Yeat and Central C suggests he'll keep mentoring the next generation. OVO sound is poised to grow, with new signings and potential OVO Fest expansions. His Raptors' role in Toronto Pride will likely keep him tied to his hometown, possibly leading to more community initiatives. Challenges lie ahead. The music industry is shifting, with AI-generated music and new platforms changing how artists connect with fans. Drake's ability to adapt, seen in his streaming-era dominance, will be key. He'll also need to navigate an increasingly competitive hip-hop landscape, with stars like Travis Scott and younger acts vying for the throne. Yet his track record, reinventing himself from Degrassi to Views to For All the Dogs, shows he's built for longevity. Drake's story is one of ambition, resilience, and reinvention. From a biracial kid in Toronto to a global icon, he broke barriers in hip-hop, making it okay to be emotional and versatile. He turned Toronto into a music capital, built an OVO empire, and shaped pop culture with memes, fashion, and slang. His philanthropy and mentorship show a commitment to legacy beyond fame. As he looks to the future, Drake remains a cultural force, ready to write the next chapter of a career that's already legendary.